Okay, bonjour tout le monde. So I'm just making a short video to show you how to use this figure by 4 template with your knowledge organizer. So there are different ways you can do this. Similarly to the revision clock, I'm going to have my knowledge organizer. I can either have it on paper, excuse me, or I can have it on my phone, for example, and I can work from that. I'm going to need a pen, either black or blue, a different coloured pen, it doesn't matter what colour, and maybe a highlighter as well. So, as with the revision clock earlier, the first thing I'm going to do is to pick on a section that I want to practice. Excuse me, this is from the Year 9 autumn term knowledge organiser. So knowing that tenses are extremely important, I'm going to concentrate on this section of my knowledge organizer, which gives me the key verbs that I'm studying this unit, but in the different tenses. So I have present tense, future tense, perfect tense with avoir, and perfect tense with être. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Now I'm going to spend some time revising this vocabulary. I could get somebody to test me, for example, if they say the English and I say or write the French, if it's easier. And really thinking about, in our past tense, that pronunciation of j'ai écouté, the E accent sound at the end. So once I'm quite confident with that, once I'm quite confident that I know what each of the tenses are, how they're structured, and I'm going to take my figure by 4, and much like the revision clock, I'm going to organise it into sections that make sense to me. So because I don't want to start with the easiest thing, because it's always easiest to do the easiest thing, I'm going to pick the tense which I find hardest to work on first. So I'm going to pick perfect tense with être verbs. And that's because if I start with present, well, I give myself a nice warm glow because I know it, but let's start with the difficult stuff first. So I'm going to start with the perfect tense with être, and I'm going to try and write down the first time what I can remember from that section of the perfect tense with être. So the first thing I'm going to write is that I need to have all the parts of être if I'm going to do this. So I'm going to write je suis, tu es, il est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont. I'm going to make sure I've got my accent on ils et, for example. And then I need the past participle. So I'm going to write here past participle, and I'm going to pick one of my 16 être verbs, and the most obvious one is aller. So I'm going to put aller, but obviously the thing we have to remember about the perfect tense with être is we have to make it agree, so it could possibly have another E on the end as well. So I remember that aller was an être verb. I know that rester is an être verb, so I'm going to put rester in the past participle in. And then I might be a bit stuck and I might think I can't remember many of the other être verbs. So I would go back to my knowledge organizer and I will check which ones are in this section, or any that I can remember from having studied it in class. And the one that's on here that I haven't covered is I went out. So in my different coloured pen on my figure by 4, I'm going to put sorti, because that was one that I didn't immediately recall. Then I might check perhaps my exercise book and notice there were some others, for example, monter, and I might add that in a different colour also. Okay, so once I'm quite confident with that, then I'm going to move on to another tense. So let's take the future tense, for example. And I'm going to look at my knowledge organizer, I'm going to revise it, I'm going to practice it, and then when I think I'm quite confident, I'm going to put in what I can remember from my knowledge organizer. Okay, then I go back, whatever I couldn't remember, I look at the knowledge organizer again, I see which ones I haven't done, and then I add those in a different colour, and this way I can see really quite clearly which words are in my long-term memory and which ones I need to work on. Okay, so I do that for each of the sections, for the present tense, for the imperfect tense, and perhaps the thing that maybe I need to work on, I might need to put in there, for example, what they mean. So, for example, for the perfect tense, do I know what the perfect tense means in English? I might need to put in there, I went, je suis allé, so that I know that je suis allé means I went or I have gone. And for the future tense, for example, je vais aller, I am going, because that's what je vais means, je vais, I am going. And then the infinitive, to go, to do. So I might want to draw attention to the fact that perhaps I'm not entirely sure what the translation is in English. And once I've done that a few times, I could go through in various different colours. I can decide which ones I'm going to concentrate on then. And if I revisit this exercise, I'm going to see if I can change the number of things that I wrote in black to more, to include more of these that hopefully, after I've studied it a bit more, will be in my long-term memory. So that's how you work with the revision clock. You could use it just to organise information. You might decide to put it into topics. You might decide to do masculine and feminine words. You might decide to do things you find simple, things that you're not so great on, things that you really haven't got a clue about, and things that you want to work on. So it's up to you how you categorise the information in the Knowledge Organiser that makes sense to you on the figure by 4. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And if not, you can send me some messages on Show My Homework and I will get back to you. Merci, au revoir.